Um, well, in terms of the international community, what can be done? Um, it would be good if we could see more networking between the North and the South, including the United States and Mexico and Canada, with Central and South America, the Western Hemisphere. Um, I am an advisor to the Seventh Generation Fund for Indigenous Peoples, which is based in California. They do support, they give small grants to Indigenous activists, but they're involved in these issues, we're talking about, certainly the defense of the land, protection of the environment, climate change, the things that are affecting Indigenous peoples, more directly. I think we should look at using the Committee for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination. I know Canada has signed the Convention for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination. A number of us have gone before that committee and made early warning urgent action reports to that committee. And they have, made strong recommendations to Canada. We think it's still important to show how their recommendations are not being respected. So we need to keep documenting how Canada is ignoring the rights of Indigenous peoples and discriminates against them. That's an ongoing thing because of the colonialism in Canada. So, and I also think we need to use other human rights bodies. We should coordinate that more on these issues of police brutality and the defense of Indigenous rights. And also the special rapporteurs. Somebody mentioned that. There's several of them, I understand. There is one for the rights of Indigenous peoples, but there are other special rapporteurs. I think we should try and make as much use of them as we can, including trying to get country visits where we can get those in there. So that's what I would recommend. We need more networking North and South. Hopefully PBI can help do some of that to document some of these cases that are being referred to in the countries here today. But I think we should expand that. I know there's things going on, for example, in Chile and other countries that are terrible. And like I said, even in the US and Canada, don't think that we're insulated up here as Indigenous peoples. On the Human Development Index, Canada and the US may be up in the top 10, but Indigenous peoples are down around 60, somewhere below that. You leave the cities and that and go into Indigenous communities and the conditions are very poor because poverty is imposed through legislation, through the Indian Act. So I think that's something we can do. And on the defunding the police, that I haven't been directly involved in that, but I know that Black Lives Matter and Indigenous organizations from urban areas, in particular Toronto, which is our largest city in Canada, has led the way pushing for defunding the police and moving it to more community programs, health and social programs, use of mental health support rather than sending police in when people are distressed. We've had a number of Indigenous and Black people killed by the police in Canada, when really what was needed was more mental health support, workers to come in and help diffuse the situation. So there is a big movement for defunding the police, but there's resistance against that in Canada too, from the municipality, the municipal government level, and also at the federal level. So there is more work to be done there. But I think we need to do more networking on the North and the South, and even between the racialized groups, the minority groups in the cities and Indigenous peoples. There's a big gap. We don't communicate, and then we wind up at the United Nations, and we're in silos. The Black issues, the South Asian issues in Canada are separate from Indigenous issues. And I think we need to see more coordination there too, because when we go to the UN, we should be able to show the larger pattern of how, the state governments are treating Indigenous and racialized communities, because there's a lot of parallels. But for Indigenous issues, once you leave the cities and start going out onto the land, it's quite different set of issues around land rights and self-determination. So that's what I would have to say about those issues. We have a lot of work to do in getting better organized and getting our communication straight, including to the UN human rights bodies and the special rapporteurs. But we need to do some of this work internally amongst ourselves. So again, I want to thank you for inviting me to this panel and hearing the situation in the different countries, which I know is horrible. But I just wanted to let you know Canada is no angel. They're not the Boy Scout that people think they are. Thank you.